Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Monday, July the 6th. And as we like to do once a week, we'll be chatting with our friend George Rodriguez from South Texas. George, welcome. It's always great to have you.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
You know, this is a little bit of important date for a certain former president, George W. Bush, who turns 80 today. I always liked Bush. I was a big fan of Bush. And he turns 80 today. But here's a little trivia question. The next time you play Trivial Pursuit, here's a little question to nail people. 3 presidents were born in 1946: Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump. 3 living presidents. Of course, Trump right now is in the White House.
What about Barack Obama?
No, he was born later. He was born in like
Oh, yeah, that's true.
no,
Yeah.
he was born much later. He was born
Yeah.
in maybe
Yeah.
60 or 61, something like
Right.
that. And of course, Joe Biden was born before 46. But as far as to me, that's a real coincidence that 3 men presidents were born that year. It must have been a good year for let's say Barbara Bush.
Post-war babies.
Yeah, post-war babies. Yeah, good old George came back from the Navy, his Navy days, got the medal for service, got married, and George W. came shortly after. But of course, he was born in Maine, and then the family moved here to Texas when he was a boy. So President George W. Bush, we wish him a very happy 80th birthday. Well, George, speaking of celebrations, a lot of celebrations related to the World Cup. There's a big game here in Dallas today, Portugal, Spain. But I guess the big game last night in lots of places was the Mexico UK game, Mexico England game, which I thought was a pretty competitive game that Mexico lost. But apparently, you were at a gathering, right, with a lot of passionate fans, right?
Yeah. It was at a pub, a British pub that's nearby here.
Oh, wow.
And so, of course, it was a partisan crowd for England. And it was really, really a lot of fun. I mean, the Brits really thought that they were going to lose from the very, very beginning. They thought they were going to lose.
Wow.
They were very proud of their showing. But the Aztec Stadium, the Mexico City Stadium, has a big reputation for favoring the Mexico soccer team. They've only lost there twice. They've been tied 11 times, but they have won something like 86 times.
Wow.
Played, and so it's a very favorable stadium for them. So it was expected, but it was a very, very good game. Very exciting. Very, very good.
It was an exciting game, and Mexico could have won or at least tied the game there at the very end with that kick that just missed the net. So I mean, I thought both teams played well. I wasn't sure who was going to win. I know that England is highly rated, and Mexico has always been kind of the middle of the pack kind of team. They're certainly not the best South American team or Latin American team, but they are, of course, a good team. But, I guess the experts were saying that the edge was to England. But, I'm not sure. When you remember some of the previous World Cups, you always thought of Germany, England, France,
Brazil.
even Brazil. And, of course, Brazil is out. So I don't know. I don't know where it goes from here.
Yeah, I mean, the Netherlands is out. I mean,
That's
there
a
are
good
several
team.
teams. There are several teams that you would have thought would have been right in the middle of it that have been, even Italy, which didn't even qualify.
Right?
Italy didn't
Yeah.
even qualify, and Italy has been a previous world champion.
That's
So,
right. That's right. So, I mean, I think
very,
so
very
far the event is going fairly well for the United States, not just the soccer team, but in general. And of course, today, President Trump decided that he would push the nuclear bomb. And or yesterday, he called the president of FIFA and said, "Hey, would you guys take a look at that? It didn't look like a red card to me." Well, they just said, okay, we'll take a look at it, and I guess they reversed it. But George, I don't look. I am not an expert. In fact, one of the most confusing things to me about soccer is fouls. I have to be honest with you. I have
think
a hard.
that's the big problem with soccer and America.
Yeah.
We're
No,
using very much law and order and rules, and it is very, very much. I mean, these fouls that are called free kicks. Quite often you wonder why is that a free kick and this wasn't.
Right. And as I said, I have to give the benefit of the doubt to the people who know something, because I don't. And everybody that I was listening to in these post-game shows and all of that kept saying that it really wasn't the red card. And they're not just, I'm not just talking about the American announcers. In general, they were saying not a red card. So, but they've got to figure that out, because look, I was telling
make
this,
it popular in the United States, they have to.
They have to make it easier to understand what a foul is. Like, for example, in baseball, if you want to get yourself thrown out of a game, it's really easy. You touch the umpire, even if you just put your finger on him, you're out. You're thrown out of the game. And then, of course, say something nasty about the umpire's mother, and you will be thrown out of the game very quickly. That's automatic. And we know in the NFL, you cannot use your helmet. You cannot tackle under the knees. You can't touch the kicker. So it's really obvious when you're watching the NFL. I mean, you don't even need the flag. It's a foul. I mean, like if they touch the kicker, right away it's a foul. You don't need the flag to know that. But in soccer, I'm confused. I really am.
They grab a lot too. They grab a lot, and at moments they call for grabbing, and then at other moments they just it's clear that they're holding onto the jersey, and you go, well, isn't that a foul? But
I also wonder if it wouldn't benefit the sport to have more than one referee.
That's true.
In the NFL, you've got one behind the quarterback, you've got one on the lines, on the lines, and then you've got, of course, another one. And I think you've got four, right? Four. And that's four men on the field who sort of, it's like they're all playing a certain zone. Yeah. So they can keep an eye on certain plays. But I don't know how this poor guy runs back and forth all day long.
And the fact that they argue with him. I mean, he calls a foul and there's immediately 3 or 4 people on him arguing over the point. It just, soccer, if it's going to expand and make itself a national pastime or one of the national pastimes in the United States, they're going to have to address that, because the American public just, if you've got chaos on the field, people just don't care about that.
Right, and
we have enough chaos as it is.
Sure, and there should be a foul should be obvious. A red card should be as obvious as throwing your helmet at another player or saying something about the umpire's mother. I mean, that's what a red card should be, but it's real unclear to me. The other thing that I don't get about the game, and the other recommendation that I would make to FIFA, is that I think to say to a player, you're going to miss the next game for something you did in this game, we're going to kick you out of this game, and then you're going to miss the next game. Look, in baseball and in the NFL, and NBA too, I guess, NHL, they have suspensions. I understand that. But it seems to me what they ought to do is, if a guy commits something really flagrant, they should take that person.
They really should.
In a penalty box.
Especially if we're watching. The other thing is that, what's the point of having an instant replay or a video to replay if you're going to miss calls like this one with the American team that was later reversed. That should have been reversed that day.
Well, at that moment, yeah. You got the ref, you've got linemen, you've got 3 people up in the replay booth. You would think that there'd be somebody who said, well, folks, that really wasn't the red card. Anyway, so the U.S. team is playing tonight, and we wish them the very best. We'll see what happens now that fellow is going to be back on the field. Again, I don't think you should throw out a player for something as gray area as this one was. I don't know. I just think that it hurts the game. And if they want to make it in the United States, and I hope they do, I mean, I don't have nothing against them. If they want to make it in the United States, they have to make the fouls more obvious or clear, and they have to explain how they keep track of the time.
Yeah. Well, that's the other one. Yes.
Last night, all of a sudden, Mexico gets 11 minutes of time.
Yes. Yes.
And then after the 11 minutes, they're still playing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, I understand that the ref is compensating for stoppage or whatever, but come on, there needs to be at least something where you feel that both sides. I mean, if Mexico had scored, let's say in that last minute of extra time, I'm sure the Brits would have been up in arms, saying that, hey, the 11 minutes are up. What's going on? So anyway, they've got to look at the product, not the game itself. The athletes are great, but just kind of, I don't know, how they present it. Maybe that would work. All right, well, let's move on to more serious things. George, I'm sure you were highly impressed with Mayor Mandani's July 4th speech. I'm sure you must have been.
I am so furious.
Yeah, you must have been impressed, like everybody else, that this guy takes the July 4th holiday and in turn, instead of saying something positive about it, he turns it into another attack on the United States. I mean, my goodness, what do these people think?
I mean, I don't understand how you can be an immigrant to the United States and then attack and criticize the United States. I mean, what is that all about?
Yeah, I mean,
why don't you go to a country where you're happy, a country that fits your needs, your ideology, your viewpoint?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, you can be an immigrant and participate in political discussions and say, I agree with this or I disagree with that in a political arena context. But that's not what this is. I mean, this guy obviously hates the country. And it's unfortunately a problem that his party's having. You know, when you think of July the 4th last couple of days ago, it looks like half of the country was having a great time like I was, and the other half of the country was miserable, like so many people were. And I'm sitting there saying, wait a minute, why would the incumbent of the White House determine what kind of a July 4th you're going to have? Makes no sense.
We had here in San Antonio, we actually had the Communist Party
that's right.
hold a rally and criticize the United States. I mean, you know, think about that in the context of a history of our nation.
Sure.
When have we allowed? I mean, to me, that's very similar to us having allowed during World War II the Nazis hold a rally.
Right. Well, I can guarantee you that the communists do not allow a pro-American march in their countries.
I bet.
I would like
to hold a 4th of July celebration in Havana. How about that?
Well, yeah, it would have been very short, George. It would have been you and a policeman arresting you. That would have been about the extent of it. Yeah, you're right. Well, let's talk a little bit about birthright. That was another controversy of the week. Here's my take on that. I personally do not support birthright. I think birthright citizenship is a mistake. I think for years it was never challenged because there were so few numbers. I mean, because very few people actually came over, but it kind of went crazy in recent years because more people were coming over. Also, the word got around. Hey, if you cross the border and have your baby here, not only will they pay your hospital, but the kid's a citizen. So I think the word got around that it was something to do. And then, of course, you have the birth tourism going on right now. So it seems like it's become a business. And that's where I think the line has to be drawn. Because, I mean, George, you're from that area. You, I'm sure, recall times in the past when people crossed over, but it was different. You know, it was like there was a sense of, hey, you know, I'm crossing over to work, but I go back home. But now it was like I'm crossing over and I'm staying, and to have a baby on top of that. So I think it has to be tightened up. I think President Trump made a mistake in using an executive order, but that may have been a blessing in disguise because now the issue is out there. And I think this is going to become a political issue, George. This is going to be a huge political issue when people realize that 10% of the babies born last year were born this way, who became citizens. So I just think that Trump failed in the sense that he lost by executive order, but I think he gained by gaining the political issue that will be a big one in 28, particularly for the presidency, and maybe in some districts for 26. So that's how I feel, that they need to do something in the Congress to write a correction to or at least an updating of the 14th Amendment saying, if you're born here, you're a citizen, except these circumstances. I mean, if you're just flown in from Peking or whatever, and you have a baby, that's not a citizen. So, I mean, I just think the Congress now has to pick it up and write a correction to not a correction, but maybe an amendment. And I think that's kind of what Judge Kavanaugh was saying, that here are some ways that you can actually do this, George. So sorry for the long-winded explanation, but that's how I think we need to go now forward by using Congress, George.
My concern is that an amendment is very lengthy, is very
well. You're right. I'm saying, forgive me for interrupting you. You are correct, because that would have to go to the states. But you can pass a law and change public opinion and probably get some Democrats. I think some Democrats will support you if this becomes a national issue. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead and finish.
And I, on that aspect of it, I think that it's necessary, but it's got to be done quickly, because the situation that we've got right now is that we have created a huge loophole for illegal immigration. I mean, we have seen in the past, I personally, my family, people that used to cross the border, just have a baby and then go back and have, in that way they would have dual citizenship. It was common, but it wasn't an epidemic. What we've got now is a business and an epidemic, like you said. I mean, this is incredible that we've got 10% of the babies being born that are being born to immigrants.
Right.
This situation is one that's got to be addressed very quickly, because just like you saw when the Democrats opened the gates and allowed anybody to come in and then apply, you're going to have the same situation where you're going to have people coming across, having a baby, and then staying. And this is going to be a terrible, terrible situation. So it needs to be addressed real quick.
I agree, and I think the one way of addressing it quickly, of course, is to close the border, which we have done that.
Well, so I know that they are in the process of putting together some regulations that say that if you're a pregnant woman
right.
within the 9th month or at the 8th month, that your visitor's visa is not going to be allowed.
Right, and that's another step that can be done. Closing the border, controlling, a pregnant woman from coming into the country. Yeah. Another thing you can do is at the hospitals themselves. If a woman goes in to have a baby and she cannot prove residency, I guess you can still have the baby. You're not going to let her out in the street, but
the kid just doesn't get citizenship.
Right, the kid doesn't get. So that will kill the incentive real quickly. Believe me, the minute that the word gets out that the party's over, that will kill the incentive, because they're not going to come over here unless they knew the baby would be. But I think those are short-term measures that can be taken. But I believe, George, that this whole topic of birthright citizenship, the more people realize what a business this is and what a racket this is, the more that public opinion will turn against birthright citizenship, which means many Democrats in competitive elections are going to have to consider this issue differently. It's not going to affect you if you're the senator from California or the senator from, I don't know, whatever. But if you're in a competitive election, it will affect you, because I think this issue will move voters, because it's such a racket, George.
Yeah.
It's such a racket. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think public opinion is catching on this issue. I really do.
I certainly hope so. Because this is a real loophole that a legalized loophole at this point that has been created, and it can cause tremendous damage to America. Tremendous.
Well, it's also a national security problem.
Yeah.
If you have people from, let's say, not friendly countries that are running this business.
Like China.
Like China, yeah, exactly. So I think that my guess is that this will be picked up by Congress, and I think you may see a change in that direction. Well, last topic today, George, it's the Democrats' convention in Corpus Christi. I have a post about this. Yeah, I have a post today at American Thinker saying that the Democrats took their abortion message to a city named after the body of Christ, that the Democrats took their climate change message to a city known for its refineries. And then, of course, they took their gender confusion to a city, the city where Farrah Fawcett, old Charlie's Angel Farrah, was born. And George, I don't think anybody had any doubts about her gender. So I just think, and then that speech that Flores gave, saying, if they call him trans, we're all trans. If they call him gay tofu vegan, it's crazy. They certainly took off their mask, George. Unbelievable.
It was very interesting to me how little news play they got here in San Antonio. I'm sure that there was an effort to try to put as positive pro-Texas spin on their convention as possible. But there was very little discussion. I mean, most of the discussions that you heard by the newscasters were the issue of taxes and opposing school choice, that public schools are the lifeline of America and of Texas, and that we need living wages, all of those things. But, the craziness of still supporting climate change, of still trying to figure out how they can raise taxes while constricting your freedoms, all of that stuff didn't go on too much.
Well, and then that speech by Flores when he says that, Texas is hell after 30 years of Republican leadership. And I'm sitting there saying, wait a minute, you got people from all over the country moving
here.
You have businesses closing and moving here.
Moving to hell.
Well, yeah, I guess they want to live in hell. I mean, it's just crazy, these people. How
logic and truth fly in their face.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's like they don't give credit to anything. Everything is, if it's Republican, it must be evil.
Yeah.
But I think the other big story, George, and we talked about it before, I think last time, was the absence of Jasmine Crockett and Colin Allred.
Yeah.
I think those two prominent Black Democrats were not there. And maybe they had a dentist appointment. I don't know. But people are speculating that the Black vote may be a problem for James Tallarico. Do you still believe that it may be?
Definitely. I definitely believe that it is. And I think that it's going to get complicated by the Hispanic vote as well.
Right.
I mean, there's very little concentration on the Hispanic vote. But my friend, I don't see that many Hispanics also stepping up to the table for him. I think that Hispanic liberal Democrats are caught between trying to stay in unity with the people of color as they are trying to support their party. I think it's a big problem on that aspect of it. I definitely think that the people of color are just not going to be that supportive. I just don't see it.
Yeah, well, certainly. I mean, when you have Colin Allred and Jasmine Crockett not go to your convention, I mean, those are probably, I can't think of any more prominent Black Democrats in Texas than those two. I mean, there are some members of the state Senate like Roy West. Okay, he's the big one, but he didn't make a lot of noise either. And then you have, but I mean, when you don't have Jasmine Crockett and Colin Allred, I think you're missing two. I mean, that cannot be a coincidence that those two were missing, George.
I think what Democrats that are still, or Hispanics, particularly Hispanics, that are still enamored with the Democratic Party, what they need to see is how this Democratic Socialist Party is emerging, that it is based on class, not race anymore. It is based on class. And so they are minimizing race, and therefore the issue of whether you're a Black or a Hispanic is being minimized. On the other hand, in the Republican Party, you have people like yourself and me who are American success stories. And we don't play the race game because we don't need to, because America has been good and given us opportunities, and that's all we need.
That's right. And I find the race card to be, so offensive. Yeah. I mean, when people play it, I just think it's like, come on.
I think they're going to be in a real predicament, I think.
Yeah. Well, and, again, when they play, for me at least, when they play the race card, I kind of come back and say, come on, you got to do better than that. I mean, you got to, if you're failing, yeah, that's right. If you're failing, maybe it's because you're not doing something right, but it has nothing to do with the color of your skin. Well, George, as always, thank you for your time. I'm glad you had a happy 4th. I'm glad you attended an English bar. Yeah, well, I think everybody was. I'm glad you got to spend some time with your British friends there in San Antonio.
It was.
And
great 4th of July with the Brits.
Oh, that I didn't think about that. I wonder how many of them were reminding you, hey, didn't
all day
aren't you standing on stolen land? Isn't that what
yes.
the Brits are saying? That
we
we're
laughed
standing
about that one. That was it's stolen land.
Yeah, aren't you sitting here on stolen land? Mm-hmm. And you said, yeah, we beat you to it.
Well, actually, it wasn't. I kept reminding them, no, this was Mexico. It was not.
Well, that's true. That wasn't even. Yeah, that wasn't British. You're right. Texas was not. They didn't get this far.
Yeah.
So that's true. You're right about that. Well, George, have a great week, and we'll connect again the next time. But thank you, as always, for your time. It's always a great honor to have you.
You got it. Thank you. Take care, my man.
All right. Thank you so much. Our good friend, George Rodriguez in South Texas. Well, as I mentioned, I do have a post over at the American Thinker today talking about the Democrat convention, the state convention, that is a Texas Democrat convention, which was, just a complete display of woke. That's what it was. The woke has taken over the party, and that's all that it was. Just a big display of woke, the absence of two prominent Black Texans or African-American Texans, Jasmine Crockett, Colin Allred, raises questions about party unity, but that convention was really something else. And if you get a chance, check out my post over at the American Thinker about that. And I do have one coming out hopefully tomorrow about Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania and a missed opportunity that he had to break from this woke mob that has been taking over his party. Thank you for listening. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas. Good luck to the USA team today. We hope they win, and so that we can have one more game to play to watch them. Bye-bye, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas.